welcome back to my kitchen and to Time Capsule Cooking. Today in the US it is National Potato Day, so I am taking part in a collaboration with Jim's Kitsch Kitchen. Now, I grew up having potato patties pretty regularly. We had leftover potatoes from dinner, etc., and it was a fairly easy way to take care of that. Never, however, have I heard of deviled potato patties, which is what we're going to be trying today. Now, what makes them so devilish, you may ask? That would be the deviled ham, which is a canned meat I've never actually tried. So as to what the flavor profile on these things are going to be, I'm not going to be able to tell you until I actually try them. I'm pulling this recipe from the Better Homes and Gardens vegetable cookbook from 1965. There wasn't a picture to go along with this one either to tempt us or scare us away, but I think I can figure out what a potato patty is supposed to look like. Here are the ingredients we are going to be working with today. We'll need 6 medium potatoes, cooked and shredded, which should end up being about 4 cups. We'll also need 1 4.5 ounce can of deviled ham, 3 tablespoons of finely chopped onion, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of snipped parsley, 1 tablespoon of prepared mustard, half of a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 cup of butter or margarine, and 1/3 to 1/2 of a cup evaporated milk or light cream. So we're going to be starting this recipe off with our 6 medium potatoes, well, 7 in my case because I am cooking an extra small one just to make sure that I come up with the 4 cups. Since the potatoes are going to be hopefully shredded in these potato patties, I'm going to be cooking them in the skin to make sure that I prevent as much moisture from soaking into the actual potato as possible. I'm going to aim for about 20 minutes initially and see if they're done at that point. And if they're not, I'll just let them cook for a little bit longer. Now that our potatoes are done, I'm going to let them sit and cool for a few minutes because I do not feel like dealing with burnt fingers today. Thank you very much. Once I get the jackets off of these suckers, I'm going to then make an attempt to shred them, praying that my fingers stay as whole as possible, and hope that I don't repeat an incident a few years ago involving carrots and cookies, and yeah, that was a rather painful Easter. Meanwhile, I'm going to be chopping an onion finely and subsequently crying over the chopping board, whether it's because of the onions or having to go back to school tomorrow. Your guess is as good as mine. Okay, now that we have this great big pile of potatoes in here, which by the way, do not underestimate the size of modern potatoes. I ended up using about 4 out of the 7 that I cooked, so guess I know what I'll be using for dinner tomorrow. It's now time to combine these with most of our other ingredients. The deviled ham, and oh, isn't that just a lovely bit of canned meat? Goodness. Yeah, I went ahead and poured some of the grease off the top and it's still sitting there. Yeah. Our 3 tablespoons of chopped onion, the 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of snipped parsley, and I used the Italian variety of parsley, 1 tablespoon of mustard, which I'll be honest, I am not incredibly happy about because mustard is just not my favorite ingredient at all. And I'm really hoping it's not going to be the standout flavor in this dish. And finally, our 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, now we lightly toss this, hoping all the while that our potatoes do not get squished, which turned out pretty well actually. I am pleasantly surprised. Everything is mixed in and it doesn't look in the end like we've come out with herb and meat and mustard studded mashed potatoes, so I'm happy. Now to get these formed into 6 patties, which in the end turns out to be more like 7 because these are some pretty decently sized potato patties already, and yeah, the ones I used to make were kind of tiny in comparison. And here's where our final ingredients come in. The 1/4 cup of butter, which is half a stick by the way, is going to be melted in the pan so that we can fry our potato patties. Okay, even knowing I was going to be using half a stick of butter in this, I did not quite anticipate the melted butter being quite that much in the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and put the potato patties in. Oh, and they're already kind of, please don't fall apart on me, potato patties. And now we wait until the bottoms are browned, which if I see on the side of a few of them, they're already starting to look a little darker, so that's a good sign. Okay, now that the bottoms are fairly starting to get kind of browned, at this point we spoon over 1/3 to 1/2 a cup of either evaporated milk or light cream. And I'm using evaporated milk today just because it's easier to get a hold of for me. Now we're supposed to wait until the milk has absorbed into the potato patties, however long that's going to take, and the bottoms are crusty. Some of these I'm a little worried about trying to flip because they are not very solid anymore, even if they started off being that way to begin with. And now that we've got them flipped, we wait another, there it's falling apart, great. We wait another little bit until the other side is crusty. And then we're good to serve, I guess. Okay, and so after about 25 minutes of cooking, did not expect it to take that long to fry. The cream definitely added to the cook time. We have our final product, and it's a little busted-y, but otherwise it actually looks pretty good. They didn't hold up quite as well during the frying as I'm used to potato patties sometimes doing, but I really like the crunch and the crust, I guess is a better word, on these. They really ended up having a nice brown color to them, but appearance is only one thing. So let's see how these actually taste. As I was worried about, I can definitely taste the mustard in these, but even as someone who isn't the biggest fan of mustard, it tastes okay. I would probably cut down on it quite a bit personally because, as I said, I'm just not a big fan of it. But otherwise, all the other flavors go really well together in it. The onion doesn't stand out too much, and I can just slightly taste the parsley. If I didn't know that it had the deviled ham in it, I would think there was something different about these potato patties, but I wouldn't be able to place what it is. I can definitely taste that kind of salty, slightly ham flavor to it, but it's not overly strong. As far as the texture, it's still nice and fluffy in the middle while still having a little bit of that bite from the potatoes not being quite so well cooked. The outside isn't crunchy per se, but it definitely has a different texture than the middle of it, which is nice. All in all, I'd definitely lower the amount of the mustard if you're not a big fan of that flavor, or even leave it out mostly completely if you don't like mustard. The rest of it though is really good. I really like this potato patty recipe, and I was not expecting that at all considering the whole deviled ham situation. Definitely not a recipe for the health conscious, but if you just want something really good and buttery and potatoey, then this is actually, I think, a really good recipe to try. I think this is definitely going into my favorites category, and that doesn't always happen on this blog slash channel slash whatever this is. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and make sure to go check out Jim's Kitsch Kitchen. Until the next recipe, bye.